It's time for us to get into the news review segment. Now, in the news review segment this morning, we're going to be having some interesting conversations. We're talking about the SHS policy, free SHS policy. Intervention needs improvement, not review. And of course, we know that the education minister was on CBS yesterday. That's Citi Breakfast Show on 97.3, and there was a long conversation there, and he made a lot of very interesting points. So we're going to be looking at that. We'll be talking about MPP parliamentary primaries. 11 aspiring candidates disqualified from the process. And we also, we'll touch briefly on the MPs who are bowing out of parliament as well. And then, see where we go with that. And then we'll talk about the convention, that event that was supposed to have happened at the Black Star Square, which unfortunately was cancelled at short notice. The minority describes the government's prevention of the event at the Black Star Square as disgraceful. Well, we're going to hear what our guests have to make of this. All right, so I've been joined in the studio by my first guest, Ebenezer Gilbert Nate. He's the former MP for Ablekuma Central. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
How are you doing?
By God's grace.
Happy New Year to you.
Many happy returns.
All right. Right, so I think we can get right into the conversations. Let's begin with the story from citinewsroom.com. The free SHS policy does not need review, but improvements. It seems a little bit like semantics, but let's read what the story actually says. Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum firmly rejected calls for the review of the free SHS policy during an interview on the Citi Breakfast Show on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. While acknowledging that the policy has faced criticism, Dr. Educhum emphasized that it requires improvements in specific areas rather than a complete review. Former President John Dramani Mahama on his national tour reiterated his commitment to reviewing the policy if elected president in 2024. Now, he proposed convening stakeholders in the education sector within the first 100 days of his government to scrutinize both the free SHS policy and the broader education sector. Now, addressing questions regarding the potential review of free SHS, the Education Minister, Educhum, stated that the policy in its current form does not necessitate a review, but rather targeted improvements. Now, he highlighted the need to focus on training teachers to ensure that they are well prepared for effective teaching, ultimately leading to better learning outcomes. Now, I quote, "Anything that you do, there will be areas that need improvements. On improvements, we can look to train teachers and make sure that teachers are well prepared to teach for better learning outcomes." When questioned about the possibility of parents paying for boarding while day education remains free, Dr. Educhum firmly responded in the negative, stating, "No, we just have to improve the learning outcomes and ensure that the investment is worth their while of Ghanaians, so that they know where their taxpayers, their taxes are being used to their benefit, and we're bridging the gap between the rich and the poor." And so this is what Dr. Educhum said yesterday on the Citi Breakfast Show on the conversation with Bernard Avle and the team. All right, so let me just quickly turn to Honorable Nate. What do you make of this? Now, he says he does not need a review, but it needs improvements. Are improvements not some form of a review anyway?
Good morning. Let me say good morning to our cherished viewers, and good morning to you and my brother as well. And let me say good morning to the entire Citi TV, and take this opportunity to wish you a happy new year.
Thank you.
Since the year started, this is the first station that I've been.
Okay.
And also, good morning to my constituents as well. And let me take this opportunity to say good morning to the leader of our party, the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. This year I've not been able to see him, but I promise him by the end of the week I'll try to see him.
Let me just mention briefly before you continue that Prof. Sharif Khalid has joined us in the studio. He's the NDC National Communication Team member. Prof, how are you doing?
I'm well.
How are the holidays?
Afishapa.
I've been going to you.
Yeah.
How are the holidays?
Well,
Okay.
election year,
Yeah.
moving in,
Yeah.
you get to do a lot of stuff,
Okay.
reconciliations,
Right.
and stuff like that.
It's
So
good
that-
to have you. It's
Yeah,
good to
thank
have
you.
here.
Thank
All
you.
right. So,
Right.
yes,
So I think that the Free Senior High School has been a major problem for the NDC since the president in 2016 started talking about free education. That when Ghanaians give him the mandate to lead this good people of ours, this is one of the policies that he's going to bring on board. That every Ghanaian who, in one way or the other, have attained an age that he or she is supposed to attend free senior to attend senior high school, is going to make sure that this policy is going to come out with a policy that is going to be a free education for students. Since then, from 2016 till date, the NDC, led by John Mahama and other NDC members, have issues with a free education. May he so rest in peace. Leo Kran came to say that no, at that time, he was the Minister for Education. He said, no, we cannot implement free education unless 20 years' time. Every NDC communicator, every NDC member have speak against free education. Sometimes I ask myself, what is the problem? Do they don't understand education, or do they have no interest in education that they always speak against it? John Mahama has been constantly speaking against free education, has been always been talking about reviewing, but has never come out to say that I'm going to review it in this kind of way. He has never. Anytime he get opportunity, when I get opportunity again to become a president, I'll review free SHS. But he has never given us one reason or what he's going to do as a matter of the reviewing. Just as the minister said, yes, in every policy, in everything that we do, you might have challenges. I will not come and sit here and say that all is well with the Free Senior High School. There are challenges. One, the challenges, one will be infrastructure. Because, for example, today, you go to Accra Academy. Before free education, they can only accommodate about 1,000 students, a sample. Now, because of free education, the number of students that completes have been increased. So therefore, it have to engage about 1,000, 5,000, 6. So there's an additional deficit of 600 that you need to provide them.
facilities to
Facilities, exactly. And these are the things that the government is working seriously to ensure that there will be enough facilities. I was then a board member at Accra Girls Senior High School in our first term. Some of us push to ensure that other dormitories that government decided to build will complete it in a very short time, so that we'll be able to accommodate a lot of students in the school. Because if you want every child to get access to education, more importantly, senior high school, then there's a need for you to provide the amenities for them, and which exactly that government is trying to do. But in the case of the NDC, they have never, I have never, to be honest and sincere with you, I stand to be corrected, I have never heard the NDC led by John Mahama or any other person who have said that we are reviewing it to do A, B, C, and D. All what I've heard was that, oh, we want to review it so that those that parents have money can pay. So that those who don't have them, I don't know the criteria that is going to use, assess people who are rich and those who are poor.
But, Honorable, there are others in the education space who have also spoken about the need to look at the policy more critically to say that, look, maybe certain persons that can actually afford to pay would do their bit, and so that those who really don't have their capacity to pay can then enjoy the free education as a largesse from government.
And that's why I asked.
And it's not just
what criteria are you going to what criteria are you going to put in place? Me sitting here, you might think that I can able to afford. Maybe I cannot afford.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe you think Prof can afford it. Prof can, may be able to afford. So what criteria?
Prof can afford.
Fine, maybe Prof can. I cannot.
The former MP
I
who has
cannot.
enjoyed ex gratia. I have not enjoyed that.
You see, I cannot. But and even if we are saying that some people can afford, won't their parents also pay taxes?
Yeah.
So what benefits are they also going to get in the school? At least the child of the rich man or the rich woman should also benefit from government.
Okay.
So if you are saying that, because maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people can afford it, so therefore let's make sure that only those people. I don't know how we are going to go about it. So at the end of the term, you identify you. Kwesi Mensah, your father is a rich man, your father is a minister, your father is this, your brother is a businesswoman, they have money. So all of you, about 30 of you, go and pay. There's 700 of you, you are not supposed to pay because you are coming for a poor home. What criteria are you going to use? For me, I still believe that, yes, I agree perfectly with the Minister for Education, that the challenge that we have in the various senior high schools need to be tackled. Okay. And the last time I heard somebody saying that now they even spend more money than even if they have been asked to pay school fees. My brother, to be honest,
I've heard those arguments before.
To be honest and be sincere with you, even when there was no free education, we still do extra classes for our children. There's nowhere in the campaign of the MPP, when we're talking about free education, we said that when you are going to school, government is going to provide you with provisions. There's nowhere. Okay. So definitely when your child is going to school, he or she will be provided with provisions to school.
Okay.
Whatever belongs or whatever the child needs at the school, that it is a responsibility of parents to provide it. It will be provided. What government is taking care of the tuition which has been there for already. Government is taking care of your uniform, is taking care of your textbooks, is taking care of things that you have to. Government responsibility. Government is taking care of it.
But there are people who say that they even buy uniforms for their children, for their wards.
Let me give you an example. Even the security agencies, they buy uniform. Because if government give you 2 or 3 uniforms, and you wear all the 2 this morning from here, I'm going to my son's school to buy uniform for him.
Okay. Is that not a challenge of the system, though?
He's not in a senior high school.
Okay.
Because every term when school reopen, you see the dressing of your son or your daughter. I don't think you'll be happy with it. You definitely have to make sure that your child or your child look good. I don't think government can provide 20 or 10 or 5 uniform for each child. So definitely when government provide you 2 or 3, you as a parent, you also need to what? Support
add
your child at the school. And it's at the school. So you go to the school and buy it in addition to what your son or your daughter have in the school. I don't see anything wrong with it. Because it's your responsibility as a parent to take care of your child. So for me, I don't think those arguments of we don't have this, we don't have that, holds water. I am just want the NDC to tell us that, look, these are the challenges that we are facing in the free senior high school. Okay. And when we get unlikely events, if unlikely event we win power, this is what we are going to do.
Okay. Well, he's here. He will tell us what in the according to your words, in the unlikely events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Prof.
Yeah.
So I know you prepared your submission already. I'm just going to ask you. So I do know that F Cube was instituted initially, I think it was 96, by the NDC government.
Yeah.
So there's a certain sense of you already believe in the idea of free education.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Not a doubt.
But what's your challenge with free SHS?
I mean, this is a very interesting question because there are obvious answers to that. The challenges are before all of us. As we could see, a struggling policy. No one in the NDC is against free SHS.
Really?
But no.
But MPP seems to believe that you are fully
No,
against
we are not
it.
against free SHS. What we said was we wanted a progressive implementation of free SHS. And there's a vast difference between a progressive implementation of free SHS and being against free SHS.
Okay.
Right.
How would that look like?
Very much so. I mean, we talked about means testing, which is very important. I was surprised that Honorable was concerned as to how this would be done. When we talk about means testings, a lot of variable goes into means testings. Other than that, would have had everyone, benefiting. They've implemented poverty reduction strategies and the likes of that. How are they awarding these stipends to people who need them? It's via means testing. So when it comes to education, we implement a structure and a model, right, that we would deem as means testing for education or for free SHS, where between you and I, right, our earning capacity, our parity income, and all of that isn't the same. We could use that to determine whose ward, right, is meant to be in a free SHS system.
Okay.
Right. How is this rocket science?
Wouldn't that just pose a rather complex
How complex?
process?
Because already we have school selection processes and all of these things, right? How complex are they? Are they not happening? University, so we apply, right? We are determined as to whether we passed or not and which course one is qualified to enroll on.
Yeah.
Right. So we already have systems in place that mimic means testing and that mimic ability and that mimic access. And this is what we're going to roll over to do this. In any case, infrastructure-wise, when it comes to education, compare Mohammed's 4 years to that of this current government. Right. We implemented e-blocks. What has happened to them? Some have been left dilapidated at 70, 80% completion.
But I've heard the argument that some of your e-blocks were built in the bush, and far away from communities. So
If you can
it didn't
drive
make any sense.
If you can drive your son from Accra to Cape Coast in Fansipim, why could you not drive your son to where an e-block is located?
No, so the argument is that, there are places where, let's say, for example, people have to move about 10 to 12 kilometers from where they live, where the settlements are, to where the school block is. Now, they don't use vehicles in some of these communities. They don't, so the children have to literally trek. And then there's no boarding facilities around the area as well, so they can say, let's use this block as a boarding school.
You see, a point is, we haven't made a real assessment of, our boarding education. Boarding education is a luxury in our part of the world, right? You look at most developing countries, even boarding education is not a big priority. But it's a colonial legacy we've had and has been hinged on it for far too long. So, can we give a classic example? What is the longest distance, right, from a settlement to an e-block?
Okay.
Right. That's what we should be. We should be speaking to facts. And we can assess and ascertain whether it's a walkable distance, it is not a walkable distance. Right. So these are the things we ought to be engaged with. In any case, what are they doing with them? Right. So if we have provided the facility and you feel that the distance or the kilometers is not walkable, why don't you add a dormitory facility and make it a boarding home? Because we're innovating through education. Right. So these are the things I think we should be doing. I don't know if you've had access to or you've had an experience of taking a ward or a family member to a free SHS system, have you?
No, I haven't.
Well, I did quite recently.
Okay.
Right. I took one in. After a week, to my surprise and shock, she asked that we come for her because they are on holidays. Just a week after reporting in secondary school, you're coming back home on vacation. Who does? What has been learnt?
No, but
what was the process?
Is it not that you went late?
No.
Okay.
No, you could prove me wrong on that.
So what do you think was going on there?
No, because they have different tracks of systems in place.
Oh, okay.
He knows. So are we, because back in the day, you would know.
About a week?
Yeah, about a week. They have to come back home for holidays and then, go back. So sometimes they seem to even be spending much time home than engage with academic activity.
Okay.
Right. So, why is the education minister now talking about a review? Is this not a review we've been talking about since time immemorial?
No, he says it doesn't require a comprehensive review. It's just
that's all semantics.
Minor
no, but that's semantics. What are the
improvements.
minor improvements he's talking about? Access, facilities. Is not having access to facilities. Is that minor? But is that minor?
Well,
Because that's a very major thing. You've seen deplorable states in which students, right, are living. You saw a headmaster being sanctioned because he converted a toilet facility into a dormitory. That was in the news.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure any of us on this table missed that. So if we're talking about education, you're talking about free SHS. We are more interested in the progressive quality of free SHS, which is why we said, look, let's be gradual in this approach. Let's have a means test, right? I would not be surprised if honorable kids get to the stage of free SHS, it's going to send them to GIS. I wouldn't be surprised. And which is why I've always called for, if you believe in a system, right, you test it, right, and you embrace it. When Rawlings introduced the JSS system, his kids went through it. They were in it, right? But ballpark, I'm surprised that the media has not done anything about it.
Are you sure we haven't?
Well, if you have published a report of ministers, government appointees, and key government functionaries and where their kids are when it comes to education. They are in the dollar schools. Why are they not within free SHS if it's of good quality?
Yeah.
Whose kids should be
I actually
tested
have
through that?
often advocated for anybody that superintends over a sector of government must be a beneficiary of that sector with his entire family.
And we call that a buy-in.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to buy in that and prove to the people of Ghana that this policy you've implemented is actually good for them by putting your wards, your family, through it.
So let me ask you, as Honorable was saying, according to his words, in the unlikely, I'm going to quote him. In the unlikely event that you come into office, what are some of the? Let me just say top 2-3 things that you would.
So which is what I'm saying, that means testing is one of them,
okay,
where we'll determine who should be paying fees whatsoever. Even with a free SHS. Look, we took my niece to school. After paying for all of these, housewares and the likes of that, I really wondered if we were going through a free SHS system.
Okay.
Because there's still money to be spent, right? Which they have some people within a certain income bracket can still afford because it's quite a quantum, right? But we are talking about means testing, right? We have means testing to determine, okay, well, is Sheriff's son qualified enough to go through free SHS system? Well, he earns X. He's within probably, let's say we have a band. We can have bands. I'm giving examples of what could happen in the policy room or what we're doing to say, okay, people earning between 10 to 15,000, right? What it means is that you're a high income earner, then you may not be able to have your ward through free SHS system, right? Those below maybe 2,000 Ghana cedis a month, right? These are criteria for, the sort of means testing I'm talking about. And they go through it. In other jurisdictions, right? People who even experience free SHS, their tax bands are different.
That's true.
Such that when they are working,
that's true,
right, a quota of that goes into a contributory pot at the national level, which then is recycled to also look after some people at a certain level. And this is how we can make something very progressive. Okay. When we even started free SHS without a budget. Is it the willy-nilly approach we want? No. So the NDC government, in waiting, inshallah, is saying that we're going to have a progressive free SHS policy. Okay. Right, which is going to be hinged on what? Means testing. We've done it before. We've cleared schools under trees. We have done, E-blocks, which they abandoned. Right, they've not even added dormitories. If dormitories are the issues or accommodation, add that to it. If furniture is the issue, add that to that. Right, I am challenging Honorable and his government to prove to us. We can juxtapose. It's a record-setting initiative. Bring the number of schools or facilities you've built in addition via the GET fund to the free SHS system compared to what the NDC did.
Okay.
And we'll see who would bury his or her head in the sun.
Honorable, I'm sure you have a response to some of the comments that Prof has made.
The first one, Frog talked about that if we think that where the schools, the E-blocks are built, we should provide dormitories. In your initial plan of John Mahama, he promised to build 200
I remember that.
Yi blocks. I went to a funeral in the late Atamil's hometown. In fact, from the main road,
Is it a Kumfi?
Where the Yi block was built, from the main road, even driving with my V8, is almost about 4 hours to where the Yi block was built.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you, 4 good hours.
Okay.
A typical forest. That's where they decided to build the Yi block. So you can imagine a child walking from the main street to where the school is located. By the time he gets to the school, the next day, you get to the school the next day. So the assessment is that if you say we should build a dormitory to make sure that the school becomes a boarding school, but the initial plan, it is not for a boarding school, but a day school. Because you say you are building a community day school.
There's no adjacent land for that.
When you are building a boarding school, it's a different facility, and you should bear in mind that you need also to provide accommodation for staff, accommodation for head teachers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you need. So you can see that it is on plan. They just want to do something, and that is all. Yeah, then Prof is also talking about assessment of people who earned 15,000 or 10,000 and above. Let me assume even 5,000. Go to the Ministry of Finance or maybe Controller. Let them give you a data of government workers, and how much they are being paid at the end of the month, including every allowances that they have been added to it. Come to the private sector, and we can even start from Citi TV this morning. Let's start from my own brother and friend, Sames. To the last person here, if we can get even 10 people here who take from 5,000 cedis to 15,000, even if we can get. I challenge Citi TV. Let me start from Citi TV. So
Well,
start from
you
Citi.
know we're not going to put our salaries out.
Yeah, you
right?
know.
So,
And I'm saying that even if we can get only 10,
yeah.
that takes from 5,000 upwards, if you can get 10. Assuming you have 30 or maybe 25 workers here, you will even get 10.
Are you sure?
I'm telling you.
I think we may get.
No, you're undermining cities.
I think we may get 10.
You're undermining cities' employees.
I think we may get 10.
Sames is doing a good job.
I'm making sure that this year your
No,
salary
no,
will
I
increase.
think we may get 10.
I'm asking Sames to increase your salary this year.
No.
And you are saying that you get more than that. So how can he increase your salary for you?
He's setting you up.
No, you won't trap me.
I'm saying that even if we have 25 workers at Citi TV,
Yeah.
How sure are you?
oh, you know, as
Are
for
you
the
privy
media,
to people's salaries?
media people, they are our friends.
Oh, okay.
And we talk. Because, I mean,
You
we
sort
all
them.
know,
You sort them out.
not necessarily sorting them out. We don't sort them out. I'm just telling you what they go through.
Yeah.
I'll not be, you'll be surprised. There are some people that even for 7-8 months, they are not being paid.
Okay. Honorable,
So it will be difficult for you to get a criteria
Yeah.
of people who get this huge amounts of money that you're talking about for them to take care of it.
No, we'll come back and we'll just use a few minutes to wrap up on this particular conversation. It's still the news review segment here on Breakfast Daily. And of course, you can stay in touch with us. Do send us a message. Let us know what you think about this conversation and others that we're going to have on this segment and of the show. 0204-447-033 is the WhatsApp line to send messages to, and we will read it out here on air. All right, so Honorable Nate was giving us his final bite on this conversation before we move on.
Yes. Then the third one he's talked about is about the reporting calendar for the student. Yes. We were hit with COVID. And therefore, the students were at home for almost about a year plus. For us to go back to the system, the old calendar that we all know, that school normally break their long vac somewhere July, then they go back in August. Then we have to make sure that since now we are no more in COVID, let us try to make sure that we adjust and come to our old system, where we'll be having the old calendar,
regular calendar,
and then we'll follow it.
Okay.
School was reopened on the 4th of December. They break on the 23rd of December for the Christmas holiday. They were reported on the 4th of January.
Okay.
So I'll be surprised that the niece went to school and within a week
He
came back. And just as you said,
4th to the 24th.
the niece decided to report late at school. And he or she needs to be punished for that. Because you are supposed to report on the 4th of December.
I see. Okay.
And you are not supposed to report on the 16th or on the 20th of December and come back.
Okay, all right.
So if it's 4th to the
Final
24th,
comments on this
it's
one.
good enough.
Final comments on this one.
I'm saying that they came for Christmas break.
Yeah, but well, what significant academic exercise would have going through orientation
Well,
processes and all of that?
let's be fair though. We're trying to reset the system and put things
for how
back
long?
to, so...
When do we have the end of COVID-19? Where are we today? We're 2024.
Now
so
we are
how
back.
How long are we?
How long are we?
So
don't worry.
Okay, well, but for me, again, fundamental question I'll ask is, quality is key in all of this, right? And at this stage of the educational ladder, literacy and numeracy skill is very important and vital, right? If the minister is talking about a review, I know that he makes it come across as though it's some little reviews, but if you need infrastructure, I don't think that's a little review. You need more, or it's significant. In any case, what's the quality of numeracy and literacy skill under the current free SHS system?
Interesting question.
I would expect the minister to come out with data and statistics to speak to that, so we can juxtapose that to the old system to see whether we are making progress or not.
Okay.
But we just don't sit in a vacuum and speak about, because you see, I think this government has had the penchant of actually touting slogans. It's 1D, 1F. It's free SHS, right? And beneath all of this, we see nothing, right? And this cuts across every sector. What do we see? 1D, 1F, what has emanated out of it? The gestation period for any factory to bring in a return is 5 years. How many factories have they produced? What are they bringing in?
Oh, but the Star factory is the one in the Kumfi that we talk about all the time.
Well, but that was an existing one they went into. So there's a difference between refurbishing or supporting factories rather than producing new factories. But we've seen what the boards of 1D, 1F, they even dot around poultry farms and all of that in the name of, which has depleted the coffers of the Agricultural Development Bank, right? Because we're not allocating these things adequately.
Why? Has EDB told you that they are broke?
Well, ask them. You could look at the books of most of the... I'm challenging ADB to come out with their books if they think that is, and tell us what loan apportionment has, evaporated from that to 1D, 1F.
All right.